Spurs fans, near and far with your boy Deji Spurs, and I've got my boy Connor. This is Connor's third appearance. We do this every year, Tottenham v Everton preview show. And I just want to say, before I invite Connor to just tell us how he is, it's a mazza here. I do not understand the English weather. Yesterday, I was sporting my heavy jacket, heavy duty. I had my heavy duty boots on and I was pounding the streets. Today, I can't even find the location in my room because the sun is so bright. It's crazy. I just want to say it is crazy, but I'm enjoying it. And as I was sharing that, literally, I'm having Ibiza level weather today. Connor is telling me, by the way, and it's in the same country, that it is dull where he is in the location. But big up, Connor. How are you and how's the weather where you are?
I'm good, mate. I'm really good. It's a pleasure to be on again for my third time. It's very, very cold up here, though, in the north of England. It is freezing. So, yeah, a little bit cold, but happy to be on and happy to talk about the game.
Yeah, man. Big up to you. And big up to everyone that's locked in, locked on. Make sure you smash that. Tottenham Ranger, I'm going to save your comment and then make sure we get back to it. But, we're going to talk about that shortly. Connor, I just want to talk about the move. That's got to be the big thing. At the start of this season, at the end of last season, you said farewell to Goodison Park. You brought in David Moyes. I want you to talk us through the whole transition. Were you happy having Moyes back? Because I think the way he left with a sour taste. We were all shocked to hear that Moyes wasn't going to come back and be in charge. So I want to get your perspective in terms of, were you happy with the appointment initially? Let's not talk about the work. And then the work that Moyes has done from your perspective, and also about the move and the new stadium.
Yeah, so when he left, there was a bit of, I think when he left, we knew that he was going to get the United job. It had been rumoured for years that Alex Ferguson was going to go, and that he really had a lot of admiration for David Moyes as a fellow Scotsman.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that much of a, and you could argue David Moyes had probably took Everton maybe as far as he could, or, with the finances we had back then, as far as he could. So that move was probably, and also he put in 11 years, I think it was, with us for the first time round. So he put in the yards. He deserved, that big break. Unfortunately, Obviously, hindsight's a beautiful thing, and that big break didn't go very well. And his career sort of took a stumble before he built it back up at West Ham. I think where it went wrong was he obviously bought Fellaini after having a great season last season with us. Then tried to come in with a bit of a cheeky bid for Baines and Coleman, which was undercutting them because at the time they were two of the best fullbacks in the league, or at least up there. If people want to dispute it, that's fine, but they were definitely in the top five back then.
Yeah, you saw my face, yeah? When you said
that. Disputable, they were definitely in the top five because they were unreal together. And we said no because we didn't want to lose our midfielder and our two fullbacks. Which, if you think of Everton, from David Moyes to, up until the last 10 years, Leighton Baines and Seamus Coleman are two players that people name without a shadow of a doubt as Everton players and their top players. So there were big players to lose. Fellaini was a good player, but he wasn't as big as those two. So I don't think that helped. And then he'd gone on an interview last year and said that he'd actually gone to Alex Ferguson's house before being offered the job. Ferguson said, "You were going to get it." This is before he's told Bill Kenwright, who owned Everton at the time. So it's a little bit of a all right. So Everton were the last, potentially the last ones to sort of find out. That was the sort of vibe I got, that he said he'd have to talk to Bill Kenwright, which is fair. But I think whenever you go to somebody's house to meet to talk about taking a job before you've told your your current employers is a little bit.
Yeah.
But he liked Everton, and like I said, he deserved his big break. Coming back, it's interesting because I actually liked Sean Dyche at Everton, and I think he's going to do really well at Forest. I think that's his club, really. He's never, he lived in the city still, went to watch a couple of Forest games when he managed us. I think that's the job he wanted at this level, that's the level of club. And I think he'll do really well there. But he was struggling at Everton after seasons of deductions. the football started to look a bit rough. I think the weight of the world was getting to him and the players, and I think it got that. And I saw him say on an interview the other day that sometimes you just need a bit of change to stop the stagnant. And he said, and we didn't have the money to bring in the players because of FFP. So the next obvious change is the manager, which is David Moyes. Yeah. And David Moyes doesn't play too dissimilar to him. It's still a 4-2-3-1 in attack and a 4-4-1-1 in defence. It's the same formation. David Moyes just likes to pass it around. Like the build-up is a bit more passing around before these through balls, whereas Sean Dyche at times could be just long ball up to a striker who Beto or Dominic Calvert, who was hardly fit, and Beto, who has his strengths, but for a lad of his height, it will hold up play, and taking the ball and holding up one of them. So I think that change came, and also he brought a bit of nostalgia back. I think some fans obviously still disliked him for leaving, but a lot of fans, with over time forgave him, look back and go, it really was something special for us. And that was the most successful we'd been since. It's been a horrible 5-6 years for us. So I think a lot of fans were like, okay. And I think he's the right guy to move us into the new ground. He sees out Goodison Park as manager, which is I think quite fitting for him.
I mean, how fitting?
yeah, it's so fitting. And you always had the feeling that he might come back. Obviously, he went to West Ham a couple of times. I think it was 3 times, wasn't it, in the end? You always had the feeling he might come back to Everton at some point. There were rumours when Carlo Ancelotti got the job that David Moyes was one of the people we rang up because Bill Kenwright always had a fond heart for him. And then we got Carlo, and we were like, sorry, we've got Ancelotti. It's a no-brainer from that point. So he'd been linked a couple of times, but bringing us into the new ground, it just feels right. And he's a bit like, well, he was always wise and older back then, but he's a bit older, he's a bit wiser. He's obviously got a trophy now, which is deserved as well. So I think we're just hoping he can. Obviously, we'd love to, do a Palace and grab a cup. That'd be fantastic, and get into Europe. But I think he's mainly here now to rebuild the team as well, so that when he leaves, it's in a better place than he found it, which is what Sean Dyche said he always wanted to do, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him. He said he wants to do that at Forest, but I think David Moyes wants to do that at Everton, and I think he'll get more time, and there are a section of the fan base that will allow him that more time, and he's got a proven record, David Moyes, of building good teams, especially under financial constraints, although we have a little bit more money this time. But when you look at the West Ham team he built over a couple of seasons, he's got and he likes to do it mainly all himself as well. He likes to have a really big say in his transfers and see if they fit the club and the mentality. So I think he's the right guy to sort of build this team up for, hopefully when he goes, somebody good to take over and carry on the work.
Yeah. No, I mean, Connor, thank you for kind of giving us that kind of lowdown. From an outsider looking in, I feel like Moyes just kind of, it almost get the sense is he never left. He kind of picked up from where he left off. I think almost immediately your results started to change. And this was the same squad. And I take your point, maybe Everton wasn't the right fit for Sean Dyche, and also they were just going for it. I feel like maybe the kind of move and what you wanted to be was kind of clouding the club as well, and any manager that was coming in probably impacted Silva, and it definitely impacted Dyche. But what I see from Everton today, normally, I mean, there was a comment in the chat at the beginning that I agree with. Tottenham Rangers says every year we beat Everton, but under Frank Spurs, say we're entitled to think we should be beating Everton. And the thing is, the last 2 times that we've streamed, I've always had a little bit of chest. I've listened and said, Everton, good team, but we'll probably slap you up. This is the first time that I am legitimately petrified. Like, I feel like Moyes has done such a good job that and we'll get into it later in the stream. What has he done that's different though? Because Ndiaye was there with Dice. I was at the Spurs game. I went to see it when we beat you guys 4-0 at the start of last season. It's pretty much the same squad, to be honest with you. What has he done that's different?
Yeah, it is pretty much the same squad. Because even Tieno Barry, our new striker, David Moyes, is I think he's struggling to find a striker, to be honest. I mean, we have got Grealish now, though, who's a massive, massive help for us, and Kieran Dewsbury Hall. But other than those two, it is pretty much the same. We had Ndai on the left last year. I think he's only made small changes, and that's just a little bit in the build-up. It's a little bit more patient, waiting for those opportunities to strike in behind the defence and picking it apart. I mean, I have to say as well, though, big up to Grealish, because our tactic a lot of the time is get it to the left and see what Grealish can open up. Obviously, we played City without him, and we still played well up until the second half, which Ndai was running the show that time, and has picked up a lot of traction on the internet. He is a good player, and it's fully deserved. But I'd say Grealish coming in, having a player, and Kieran Dewsbury all having players that have the ability to unlock these defences as well is fantastic. But David Moyes is like, he's like a slightly more progressive at times, only at times. So it'd be interesting to see how we set up against you, because sometimes against, the top six, we tend to go a bit too defensive. But he's a slightly more progressive in terms of he'll pass it around a bit, try and break inside, use the wingers quite a lot. Yeah. He'd love overlapping fullbacks. We don't have the potential for that because we're playing a centre back at right back, and Mikalenko, who's a more defensive minded left back. Otherwise, we'd have the days of like Coleman and Baines with Pienaar and Osman on the wings, cutting over and overlapping. But I think mainly it's just the vibe, which is obviously which I feel is a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's the vibe that he's brought. Like you said, it's brought a nostalgia, good feel back to the club. And I think he gets on with the players a little bit better. When Deitch was here, there were rumours that players weren't keen on him. They weren't keen on the style of play. There was all that mumblings going on, which doesn't help. And he's playing not without pressure, because there's pressure because it's the first season in the new ground. But he's not playing with his back against the wall with a 9-point deduction and see what you do. And he has got all the bar 1 or 2 injuries. The majority of his best team is fit. He's just struggling to find a striker, which I think once we figures out that, we'll be even better.
Yeah, no, fair. I mean, I want to get into another segment now, and then we'll quickly touch on what you think the systems will be. But I'm looking at your start to the season: 3 wins, 2 draws, 3 defeats. Not bad, not a bad start, right, by any stretch. I've always felt though, your weak link has been your goalkeeper. I don't think Pickford is good enough. And I know Everton fans like to shake their bum for him. They like to defend him. But I do think he turns up with this arrogance. He'll hold the ball like this and he'll be staring at the camera or he's staring at the fans. And I'm like, well, you're just naff, to be honest. And I think if you had a better goalkeeper, you probably would have been a lot better off. I don't know. What's your view?
I'm going to have to politely disagree. Heavily disagree.
What is it with Everton fans and Pickford? I can't understand it. I don't think he's good enough. But
I mean,
what's your ambition for your club?
At the minute, if I'm being realistic, anywhere between maybe like 9th and 13th, because it's better than last year. A trophy, a nice cup run. Obviously, we've only got the FA Cup left now, but a nice FA Cup run. If we can nick that, but it's building blocks, so better than last year. Next year we'll have to be better than this year, and then sort of have to do it the long way, like Palace have, and like a couple of other teams that have leaped us have had to do. We've had to do it. You have to do it bit by bit. Unfortunately, stature in history doesn't guarantee you rewards and success. You could have the greatest history. Look at United. You could have one of the best histories in football and still be struggling if you're not getting it right. You don't have a divine guarantee to be successful in football because of your history. I think with Pickford, though, to be fair, if he played for anybody else, I'd find him irritating because I think he's a wind-up merchant. It's a bit like Richarlison. People hated Richarlison when he was with us, and I'm sure people hate him with Spurs, but we love him. We think he's, amazing, but he's such a wind-up merchant that other teams, other fans just don't like him. But I will say Pickford, I mean, every year we see it about England and stuff like that. And he's never put a foot wrong for England. And now now the media are now going, oh, yeah, no, he hasn't put it wrong for England. But it's Everton that he gets it wrong for. But I'd argue he kept us up the last 2 years. He's made massive saves that kept us up. So I think he's a really, really good player, and I think I'm happy that he signed his new contract. If nobody else rates him and he stays with us for his whole career, we're happy with that. We'd happily take him. So yeah,
You see Anton's comment there, pick a ball out the net. I mean, I feel like the rival fans outside of Everton, this is what they think.
yeah.
But yeah, Connor, I want to ask you a question. When you heard that Spurs appointed Frank, what did you think?
It's different to Ange. But I think it's a good appointment. I like him. I liked what he did at Brentford. Obviously, you have to give credit to the way Brentford is set up, like beyond Frank, the scouting, the owner, the way they value stats, the way that they pick players from cheap and then can sell them on for a profit because that's what they need to do. I think they're a very well-run football club. But I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a very educated man in football, especially in football. He is a little bit different to Ange, though. I don't think he's, playing your defensive line up in the opposition's half. But I think given time, given a couple more players, he could build a really good squad there and could get you really far. It gives me a little bit of Pochettino vibes in the fact that, I think he could end up coming out. Yeah, I think he could end up coming out with people rating him higher than they thought they'd rate him.
I really hope so.
I really like him. I think he's done a wonderful job.
Because the level of dust that I'm seeing from Frank at the moment, I'm borderline Frank out already. Partly because we've been playing some shocking football, but I don't really care about the shocking football because I'm still traumatized by what we went through with Ange. That I part of me didn't even mind just being boring for a season. But it needs to be boring and it needs to make sense. At Brentford, he always made sense. And that's why Brentford was able to do what they would. That's why he was able to achieve what he achieved with such a squad. At Tottenham, he's just turned into a little bit of a Ranieri, man. He's a tinker, man. But the way he's tinkering with my club don't make no sense. I think, and I need to get your view on this as well. I think Richarlison's best on the left. I don't see Richarlison as a 9. I don't see Xavi Simons on the left. I see him as a 10. There's no space for Papsar. Bentancur and Polina have shown us that together they're both boring and it doesn't work. I just don't get what he's doing. He started Matthias Tell. This guy is rubbish, or at least not good enough yet. You can't start Matthias Tell against Villa. Villa is a respected team. That's like starting Matthias Tell against you guys. If he starts Tell against you guys, we are absolutely screwed. And I just don't know why. I don't know whether he's going for the league or trying to finish high in the Prem or the Champions League. But in the Champions League this week, we're starting Bergvall and Archie Gray. For me, I'm just not understanding, not getting it. So he started well. We've had an all right start, but really and truly, if Frank had put out a proper team against Bournemouth, we should have beat them. If he had put out a proper team against Villa, we should have beaten them. So I'm a little bit I don't know. I really don't know what to make of Frank at the moment, to be honest with you. So I'm surprised to hear that you think he could do a better job than my legends of the Falls in Pochettino.
In time though, time is valuable. I'd take him in Everton after David Moyes if you don't want him. I think I rate him really highly. But I think obviously the tinkering is one of the main things I've seen this year. You're switching between 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. Dropping Richarlison was a bit interesting because he goes start the season with such hot form. But I think you're missing Muani, who's still injured from when you bought him, which I was shocked to see because his injuries lasted a while now. Yeah. When he gets him back, I think it'll be a little bit different because he's a bigger physical striker. I agree with you. I think Richarlison thinks he's a 9. I think he's better coming off the left. It's where he played for us, and I think that's where he's best. He wanted to play as a forward at us as well, and obviously couldn't because of Calvert-Lewin. But he links up better, Richarlison, when he's got a 9 that can hold the ball, and play him in.
So why can't Frank see this then? I look at Richarlison at Watford. I looked at Richarlison at Everton. I'm like, Richarlison, there's a player there. And what I'm not understanding, I've said this. I said Richarlison, and you know what the killer is, Connor? We do not have a left winger. We don't have anyone that can play on the left at the moment. And then I'm looking at Richarlison, I'm like, well, Richarlison can play left. What, you know, it don't make sense. So Richarlison is not a 9 for you. His best games were always on the left.
Yeah, like as it really tucked in inside, like how Ndai was for us last year. Yeah, I think he's better from the left because his defensive work rate's good as well. He can get back if he needs to, which is why he's better on the wings. He defensively is very solid.
So is it fair to say he's a madman if he continues to play Richarlison in the 9? Because this is my issue with Frank right now. He keeps doing stuff that we know don't work. We had Kudus. He's played Kudus on the left wing twice, even though West Ham fans have told us Kudus goes missing once he goes on the left. And true to word, every time he's gone left, he's been like Casper the Friendly Ghost, mate. He's been invisible. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think it is. I think it's like, yeah, I think if he keeps playing him on the up front, you're not going to see the best of him, and it's going to, obviously, it's a bit rogue. I don't know if he's just waiting, like I said, for Muani to come there, because I don't see Tell as a type of player who's holding up the ball and waiting for the players to run, you know, behind him. I see Tell as someone who's makes the runs behind anyway, and he's quite young still. And like you said, I don't think he's quite ready to be, you know, I don't think he's ready to be the number 9 of a top 6 club yet. But I think Richarlison isn't a number 9 in general, so we'll have to see, you know, when Muani's back, how that works with him.
Last comment before we get to quickly starting lineups and then predictions for the weekend. Is Richarlison a fake Brazilian? Is he really from Suriname or Belize?
I honestly have no idea. All I know is from what he's spoken about his past is that he was like near the favelas and was offered drugs or football from when I read an interview, but Lord knows where he's from. Like,
you're too nice and you're too polite, because I think the love between Everton and Richarlison is a bit too much. I still see Richarlison on his Instagram posting stuff.
Yes.
He, for me, when he controls the ball, it looks like he's wearing Wellington boots. He's definitely not wearing football boots, mate. So this guy trying to make out he's a Brazilian, I think he's a fraud. He's a liar from the gates. So I'm just letting you know that, because I see Everton fans shaking their bum for Richarlison. You're one of the biggest bum shakers for this guy. I need you to publicly say he's got no touch.
No, because I've seen worse. We've seen Solomon Rondon, who plays football in Timberlands. Like, we've seen so many worse players with worse touches. But I am biased. I do think, I will say this though, I think when he shares the Everton stuff, it's fantastic for us. But I'd be a bit wound up if I saw the likes of Kieran Dewsbury all posting stuff about Chelsea or something. Like, you know, I'd be a bit like, what are you doing that for? You're at another Premier League club. You can't be doing that. But
too much. It's actually too much. He's always constantly posting Everton. No doubt Richarlison will be posting before the game his love for the new stadium. In fact, I no doubt we will see Richarlison in the home dressing room before kickoff. This is how much he loves this club, sitting there with the CEOs shaking his bum. So for me, I don't know, but I know there's this thing between Richarlison and Everton and Richarlison. And for me, if he wants to go back, he should just go back, to be honest. Would you take him back?
Yeah, his injury record's a bit of a problem, but it always has been. But yeah, fully fit, I'd take him back. Yeah, I don't know where he'd get in with Grealish though, but I'd take him back.
He's from Richmond in Surrey. That's what he's trying to say. That's what I'm saying. That's really funny, Anton. And he's the Peruvian pigeon. Yes, I fully agree. Can you see how polite Connor is? He's not trying to go down that road, because this guy, he loves that Richarlison. That's shameless. Connor, you mentioned about your lineup just briefly. Just let us know, what's your strongest lineup? Is he likely to go strong? I mean, we don't know. We're gonna hear. We'll see on Sunday. But what is the lineup you would like to see, and what is he likely to go with?
I mean, I hope he goes strong. We've got nothing else to concentrate on. if I'm honest. It'll be Jordan Pickford in goal. Jake O'Brien on the right because we don't have a right back. Well, we do, but it's Nathan Patterson. He's not very good. Tarkowski and Michael Keane as the two centre backs because
Really?
Jarrett Bryan played. Pardon?
Braithwaite, what happened to him?
He's injured. He's had surgery recently on a hamstring injury.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's out, which is unfortunate. Mikalenko on the left, James Garner and Idrissa Gueye in the middle. And then the front, the three behind the striker, I think will be Ndai, Dewsbury Hall, and Grealish will walk straight back in over Alcaraz, which is a shame because I like Alcaraz, but I mean that three behind the striker that's a tough gig to get in there anyway. And then up front is our biggest one. I don't think he knows who he's going to start yet, so it will be either Tieno Barry or Beto. Yeah. He tends to swap them both at half time though, which is a proper football manager thing to do when you've got two strikers. I don't know what he's going to do. I think he needs to give one a run of a couple of games and then the other not pull them off at half time because I think it might be a bit demoralising for them. But I think he'll go with Beto. I think he'll play Beto because he's the more experienced player.
Yeah, fair. That doesn't sound too bad, to be honest. I think with Spurs, I mean, we really don't know what we're going to do. Romero's picked up a knock. So we've got Vicario, who had his best game this week, midweek against Monaco, and that's not saying much. It's likely to be Pedro Porro. Udogi's picked up an injury, so I think we rested Jed Spence, so Jed Spence will start, and it will be Danzo and Van de Ven. I really hope Van de Ven lasts this game. We need Van de Ven. We can't afford for Van de Ven to be injured. But Danzo, it was a little bit naff against Villa. To be honest, Villa had 2 chances on goal and they scored both chances. If not for those 2 chances, Villa did absolutely nothing. But I think Danzo is a credible and decent enough centre-back to come in as a replacement for Romero. The midfield is where it gets dusted in Tutankhamun. Palhinha has to start. He's our best midfielder and he's a destroyer. And I think he will favour the battle with Idrissa Gueye and Garner in that middle, crunch tackles on them all day long. But then after that, I really don't know what we're going to do. For me, I think Pape Sarr has to start. When Tottenham were doing well, Pape Sarr started. And the physicality of your midfield, I think it makes sense. Because you've got a lot of runners in there. Idrissa Gueye likes to run. I think he's Pape Sarr's countryman as well. So we need someone to kind of combat that. And then I think it's a toss between Bentancur or Bergvall, both of whom, fill me with dread. Is there an argument that we can play Simmons? Yeah, I don't see why we don't do Simmons in the 10, Pape Sarr and Palhinha. The only thing I would say is that Simmons was dusted in Tutankhamun against Monaco this week. Didn't look happy and looks a bit rubbish. And then on the left-hand side, the left-hand side for me, it should be Richarlison, it should be Muwani, and it should be Kudus. Thomas Frank, if you're listening, I beg you, please do what I've just said. Richarlison, Muwani, and Kudus. Muwani came on for about 15 minutes in the Monaco game, and he did more than 15 minutes than Richarlison did in the 75. I can see him starting Odebear, Richarlison, Kudus, and that 3 doesn't work. If he starts with Richarlison, Odebear, Kudus, we might as well give you the 3 points. Tell the boys to sit at home, chill out, have a pina colada, because we ain't doing jack in that new stadium. So I am scared. I am threatened. If he starts with Richarlison on the left, Muwani up top, Kudus wins. Kudus on the right. I think we win. The other thing, though, is this. And we're going to get into the predictions. Richarlison does not turn up apart from the Everton game. This madman scored 2 crazy goals last season, and then he went missing. Do you get what I'm saying? Then we never saw him again. It would just be a Richarlison thing to do, is to turn up this weekend and to bang a brace. This madman. I mean, they will never see him score again. That's the thing pissing me off about this guy. So I can see Richarlison scoring.
Yeah, same.
And yeah, I can see Richarlison scoring. What's your prediction? But before we give you your predictions, is it fair to say that Spurs are Everton's bogey team? I think we've probably inflicted the most defeats on Everton by a club.
I mean,
Usually we beat you. Is the point
we
I'm trying to.
yeah, you do. I mean, we've got a few bogey teams. Liverpool have a really good record against us. But you guys tend to like. I know we got you last in January last year, but other than that, you guys have smashed us in the past as well. Like quite considerably. I think it was the 5-0 a couple of years back that I think might have been Frank Lampard's Everton playing a high line against Spurs, which was a silly thing to do. Normally, though, it's the usual suspects when you play us. It's Heung-min Son tends to destroy us.
Yeah.
He's obviously not here this time. Richarlison, though, getting his goals last year. If there was ever going to be a player that's going to score against us, it's Richarlison. Mad respect for him not celebrating. I appreciated that.
Big up, Captain.
But yeah, you do have a really good record. I mean, I feel a little bit better that it's at our ground because we have a horrible record in general going into the London teams away from home. We don't tend to come out very well in London anyway. So yeah, a little bit better that it's at our ground, but still, you guys have an incredible record over us.
No, big up, big up. So look, based on all of the stuff that we've discussed today, big up to everyone locked in. Big up my guy Catch, make sure you get over there, catch up. They're doing big things. I'll be joining them on a Monday, hopefully moving forward. I love their work. I love their content. Big up to them and big up to everyone that's locked in, locked on. See, Connor, just bringing the vibes today. Connor, your prediction for the weekend?
I'm going to go with 2-2.
Yeah. I'm going 2-1 Spurs. When I look back, and I haven't bothered to kind of do my little history check, but usually the games between Spurs and Everton are always 2-1s. Always 2-1 Spurs. I'm hoping somehow, some way, we stink out the place with our yellow submarine jersey and we get a 2-1 win. I'd be grateful. But however, I will say this. This is the first time that I'm going into an Everton game, other than the last one with Ange, because Ange is a madman and we knew we weren't going to win. I am genuinely petrified, not because of our manager. I'm petrified because Moyes normally gets Spurs' number. He got our number a few times at West Ham. And I think with Grealish, you guys just look bloody good, man. Like, I respect Everton. I mean, when you said 9th, 13th, I thought that was a bit too conservative. I mean, I know you're Mr. We call you AKA Mr. Polite, but bloody hell. You don't think you can get European football under Moyes this season?
No, it might be PTSD from the last 2 seasons, but no, I don't think. I think it'll be a really tough season this season. There's a lot of clubs that will be around the European spots that are, I think, have a better rounded squad than us. We're a couple of injuries away at the back from having a crisis, which is never a good sign. We don't have full-backs that overlap. I think next year we might be, I think, a decent cup run, and then maybe next year we could start to dream. But there are a couple of teams up above us that have slightly better balanced squads. I think 9th, 10th would be reasonable, though. It's small adjustments. I don't want to do what we did under Sean Dyche, where we survived the 9 points. People had them back on and went, oh, we'd be near Europe. Went into the next season going, we'd have been near Europe. Had a bad start and went, oh, well, we'd have been a European football team, get him out. Because, I don't think that quite works the same. So, I think 9th or 10th, just because, like I said, one of our centre-backs gets injured and we are at a crisis point. Some under 21 is going to have to come in and fill the gap.
Yeah, no, big up to you. And look, I put up Jeff's comment earlier. He said, Frank Thomas is a fraud. How the hell you fire a coach for losing all those matches and then hire a coach that never beats him? Our personnel and fans don't know shit about football. Jeff, to be honest with you, I don't know if you heard on the weekend, it was official that I was Frank out. Connor here is trying to do the nice thing on the channel and try and do all the positives. It's almost like he's doing, is it indirect psychology? Is the term where he's lying and pretending that he thinks Frank is good? knowing he's going to make us dust. The thing that I established on the weekend, remember, I was the one who spotted early that we could lose 18 games under Ange. And true to word, we lost 22 games. 18 sounded wild, Connor, when I made that prediction round about this time last year, and Spurs ended up losing 22. What I've seen with Frank is that he looks clueless to me. I can deal with the dust of the football. That's his style of play. What I can't deal with is playing players out of position. At least play players where they're in their strongest. The first two games, he was playing Xabi Simons on the left-hand side, even though Xabi said quite clearly he has come to Spurs to play in his favoured position, which is the 10. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Then Richarlison, you're playing Richarlison in the 9, when we know from Everton and from Watford, he's better off the left. And by the way, we ain't got anyone on the left. That is even more mad. So for me, there is no excuse for the way that Thomas sets up Spurs. All the losses that Spurs have had so far this season isn't down to the players per se. It's down to the setup. Had he set us up right, we don't lose those games, period. And I'm telling you, I don't trust him for the lineup that we're going to have this weekend. I'm saying to you, if he starts Richarlison up top, Alderweireld on the left, we lose. If he starts Mawani and puts Richarlison on the left, we win. And that is the issue. So I agree with Jeff. I agree with Tottenham Ranger. I need to see Thomas Frank use a bit of common sense with the squad. We don't have squad depth at the moment. We want to go in the transfer window. We want to buy players in Jan. Fine. But what we need to do is to hold on for dear life. The fact that Brennan Johnson's not getting a sniff, I'm not saying for 1 second that I think Brennan Johnson is good. He did score 16, 17 goals last season under Ange. Therefore, the one thing we can all agree is that there's goals there. Whether you like it or not, the one thing Johnson has proved is he can find the back of the net. So he needs to find a way. He needs to find a way. And he's peeing me off. Jeff says you were Ange out. Of course I was. I was Ange out. Get him out. The level of dust. Look, bro, let me tell you how far Ange out I was. I was so far Ange out that I was delighted to see him failing at Nottingham Forest. That's how traumatized I was. I was delighted because it was that dusty. And he says, just play Johnson on the left, you fraud. Yeah. I don't think he's effective on the left because he doesn't swing the ball in. But I think you can play Richarlison on the left, honestly. And you can, if you can play Tell in the 9, you can actually play Brennan Johnson in the 9. Honestly, I don't know what is different because Tell ain't physical. So these are the sort of changes that I need to see from Thomas Frank to make me feel he's a good manager. And Connor, I'm just going to say lastly, that's why I rate Eddie Howe. He could see that Joe Linton weren't no striker, put him in midfield, and bloody hell, the rest is history. I think if you're going to play Tell in the 9, you got to put Brennan Johnson in the 9 because the one thing we know Brennan Johnson does have is he's got pace. He's got pace, and if you give him a through ball, he can run onto it and slow it in. And given that Thomas Frank is not about being creative, he quite wants to kind of keep things simple. Well, let's play a low block, send the ball forward, and let Brennan run. Run, rabbit, run. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I would want to see. And so, just lastly, Tottenham Ranger says Johnson will clean up from Kuda's cutbacks. Therefore, I agree with you. Deji, we've lost 3 games since July, my bro. At least wait until 5 losses. We was losing every week last year. Bro, I need to put Frank under pressure so that he knows we as a fan base, we are not playing about. Deji was ready to lose bedrooms over Ange. That's how much he wanted. Yeah, bro, I was ready to lose friendships, bro. Me and some of my good friends, we were having beef on these streams. Tottenham Ranger, big up to you. We don't win trophies around here either. Big up. Connor, big up to you. Thank you. Are you streaming? Are you doing anything today?
No, I think the channel will have content out, the Toffee Blues channel. I will not be partaking as of yet, I don't think. But yeah, go check out the channel. We've got loads of lads working on it. So yeah.
Big up, big up, big up. Connor, thanks for stopping by. Big up to everyone that's locked in, locked on. Make sure you smash the like. And I hope to be back later. And if I'm not back later, I will see you on the watch along. Until then, we're out.